What if I told you that everything you've ever believed about consciousness was wrong? We've been taught that the brain is the control center of all thought, memory, and awareness. But what if that's only part of the truth? What if consciousness exists outside of the brain, beyond the physical realm, and is far more powerful than you've ever imagined? This isn't just speculation. One neurosurgeon's experience has shattered the limits of what we know. Dr. Eben Alexander, once a skeptic, now reveals something so profound that it challenges the very foundation of modern science. But here's the real question. If the brain doesn't create consciousness, what does? What happens when the brain shuts down, and yet the mind continues to experience, to feel, to understand? And what if your consciousness is capable of much more than you've ever been told, like shaping the very reality around you? As we unravel the mysteries of the mind, you'll discover answers to questions you didn't even know to ask. And trust me, once you see what's possible, you'll never think about life or death the same way again. Dr. Eben Alexander's journey? It's nothing short of extraordinary. In 2008, this well-respected neurosurgeon found himself in a deep coma, teetering between life and death. And what happened next? It defied everything he ever knew. While his body lay lifeless, his consciousness ventured far beyond the physical realm, into places that science had long dismissed as pure fantasy. His story shocked the world, igniting a fiery debate about the true nature of consciousness and whether the brain really is its only source. Before this life-altering event, Dr. Alexander was your typical man of science, firmly grounded in materialist beliefs. He believed without a doubt that consciousness was merely a byproduct of the brain's complex functions, nothing more. But then, his own near-death experience shattered that conviction. He emerged from the coma, not just with his life intact, but with a revelation that turned his entire worldview upside down. His experience became, in his words, proof of heaven, hinting that consciousness might just exist outside the brain, and perhaps even beyond death itself. This transformation, it was just the beginning. Dr. Alexander's journey sparked a deep, burning question that still lingers today. Does the brain really create consciousness, or is it merely a vessel, a filter for something far greater? His story invites all of us to rethink everything we thought we knew about the mind, the brain, and even the afterlife. Could it be that the true source of consciousness lies somewhere beyond the physical body? For the first time, it feels like someone's opened a door to another dimension. And what's on the other side? We're just beginning to find out. Dr. Eben Alexander wasn't always a believer. In fact, before his near-death experience, he was a skeptic, a firm defender of the materialist view. Near-death experiences? He considered them hallucinations, nothing more than the brain playing tricks on us in moments of crisis. His years of study and practice as a neurosurgeon led him to believe that everything we are, everything we experience, is confined to the physical brain. But life, as it often does, had something else in store for him. It wasn't until he faced his own brush with death that his beliefs were put to the ultimate test. In the depths of his coma, he encountered something so profound, so utterly real, that it shattered his previous understanding. No longer could he dismiss near-death experiences as mere figments of imagination. He had lived it. He saw, felt, and knew, on a level deeper than anything physical, that consciousness could exist beyond the brain. It was a turning point, not just in his personal life, but in his professional journey as well. This dramatic shift in perspective sent Dr. Alexander on a quest for answers. How could someone so deeply rooted in science and logic become a believer in the afterlife? What did his experience reveal about the true nature of consciousness? His transformation from skeptic to believer opened a new chapter, one where science and spirituality began to merge. It's a journey that challenges us to ask ourselves, what if everything we thought we knew about consciousness was wrong? For centuries, science has clung to the belief that consciousness is nothing more than a byproduct of the brain's physical processes. This is what we call reductive materialism. According to this view, once the brain shuts down, so does consciousness. But Dr. Eben Alexander's experience? It challenges that very idea. He came to believe that the brain doesn't create consciousness. Instead, it acts as a filter, something that confines and limits the full scope of awareness while we are alive. And when the brain shuts down, it's like the floodgates open, revealing the vastness of consciousness and even the possibility of an afterlife. This idea, it's revolutionary. Imagine if the brain was more like a radio antenna, picking up and transmitting signals from a much larger cosmic source. When the brain is damaged or ceases to function, the signal doesn't just vanish, it becomes free. Dr. Alexander argues that what he experienced during his coma wasn't a dream or hallucination, but a glimpse into a much broader reality, where reincarnation, the afterlife, and the very definition of consciousness take on new meanings. It's a radical departure from the materialist view, but one that is gaining traction. His story forces us to reconsider the age-old question: where does consciousness truly come from? Could it be that we've been looking in the wrong place all along? Maybe, just maybe, consciousness is not confined to the brain but exists as a fundamental aspect of reality itself. Dr. Alexander's journey suggests that there's much more to explore, and that the limits we've placed on the human mind are only the beginning of what lies beyond. Dr. Eben Alexander's shift in understanding wasn't just based on his own near-death experience. There are other clinical phenomena that question the materialist view, that the brain produces consciousness. Take, for example, terminal lucidity. It's that baffling moment when individuals with severe brain damage, even dementia, suddenly regain complete clarity of mind just before death. How could a brain so impaired create such a lucid experience? It defies everything we know about the brain's function. And then there's acquired savant syndrome. People who suffer brain injuries sometimes develop extraordinary abilities, like instantly mastering complex music or math with no prior training. How does that happen? If consciousness is tied to the brain's normal function, how can damaging it unlock such immense potential? This phenomenon, along with studies on hallucinogenic substances showing expanded consciousness when brain activity decreases, paints a picture that suggests the brain isn't the creator, but perhaps the limiter of consciousness. These examples, they're eye-opening, pushing the boundaries of what we understand about the brain's role in consciousness. Could it be that when the brain is compromised, it allows consciousness to expand beyond its usual limits? Dr. Alexander's journey, combined with these clinical phenomena, invites us to rethink the very fabric of reality. What if the mind, freed from the confines of the brain, is capable of accessing a higher state of awareness? The question continues to grow. What else are we missing? Imagine the brain as a filter, something that limits rather than generates our conscious awareness. This is the core of the filter theory, and Dr. Eben Alexander's near-death experience supports this idea in a powerful way. Instead of producing consciousness, the brain confines it, holding back the full scope of our awareness while we're alive. When the brain shuts down, as in the case of a near-death experience, that filter falls away, and what we access, a much larger reality, far beyond anything we could imagine. This concept aligns not only with modern neuroscience, but also with ancient spiritual beliefs that have long suggested consciousness is an ever-present force, one that transcends physical bodies. It's almost like the brain is a doorway to a much greater, more vibrant world that exists just beyond our ordinary perception. Dr. Alexander's experience brings this ancient wisdom into the spotlight, giving it a new relevance in our scientific age. Could it be that what we've been calling the afterlife is simply a state of consciousness unbound by the limits of the physical brain? If the brain is indeed a filter, then the implications are profound. It means that what we perceive in daily life is only a fraction of what's out there. Consciousness, free from the brain's constraints, might be able to explore realities beyond our wildest dreams, including the afterlife and perhaps even reincarnation. This theory opens up endless possibilities and leaves us with one burning question. What happens to consciousness when the filter is finally removed? Quantum physics introduces a fascinating twist to the conversation about consciousness. In the quantum realm, the observer affects the outcome of experiments, suggesting that consciousness plays a direct role in shaping reality. Dr. Eben Alexander believes this is no coincidence. His near-death experience, where he encountered a world more real than anything he had ever known, aligns with the idea that consciousness is not just a passive observer, but an active participant in the fabric of the universe. Could consciousness itself be the key to understanding quantum phenomena? It's a mind-bending thought. In the quantum world, particles exist in multiple states until observed, collapsing into one reality when someone consciously looks at them. This leads us to a radical conclusion. Maybe consciousness doesn't just exist in the brain. Maybe it shapes reality itself. Dr. Alexander's experiences suggest that the brain, far from being the source of consciousness, might simply be a tool we use to interact with a much larger, conscious universe. And what if this universe is constantly interacting with us in ways we're only beginning to understand? The connection between consciousness and quantum physics opens up a whole new world of possibilities. If Dr. Alexander's experience holds any truth, then our understanding of consciousness might be on the brink of a revolution. Could it be that our very thoughts, our awareness, are shaping the world around us? This question lingers in the air, urging us to look deeper into the mysteries of both the brain and the universe. Dr. Eben Alexander's journey didn't just stop at redefining consciousness. It led him to embrace a whole new worldview, metaphysical idealism. This perspective suggests that consciousness is the foundation of all reality, not matter or physical processes. Imagine a world where everything we experience, every thought, every sensation, is a product of consciousness itself. Dr. Alexander's near-death experience gave him a first-hand glimpse into this truth, where the boundaries between the physical and the spiritual blurred, revealing a universe built on awareness. This worldview challenges the traditional scientific view that physical matter comes first and consciousness is merely a byproduct. Instead, metaphysical idealism argues that the material world arises from consciousness. In other words, Consciousness is the building block of reality, and everything else is a manifestation of that deeper, more fundamental force. Dr. Alexander's experience in the afterlife became the proof he needed to see that consciousness is not confined to the brain. It's everywhere, and it's the very essence of existence. Metaphysical idealism also bridges the gap between science and spirituality, showing that the two are not opposites, but complementary paths to understanding the same truth. This perspective invites us to explore life in a completely new way. If consciousness truly shapes reality, then perhaps the universe is not just a random collection of particles, but a living, breathing entity, designed to foster growth, awareness, and connection. The question remains, what does this mean for how we live, how we think, and how we understand our place in the cosmos? Dr. Eben Alexander's exploration of consciousness didn't just reveal a new way of seeing the mind, it offered a deeper understanding of the very purpose of life itself. He describes our existence here on Earth as a kind of soul school, a place where we are meant to evolve, learn, and grow. Each experience, every challenge, is designed to expand our consciousness, helping us reconnect with the deeper essence of who we are. In this view, life is not random or meaningless. It's a guided journey towards self-discovery and spiritual awakening. According to Dr. Alexander, the universe is intentionally crafted to support this growth. We are not alone in our quest. There are higher realms, higher beings, and a higher purpose at play. Meditation, spiritual practice, and deep reflection become the tools we use to align ourselves with this greater plan. And what we experience here, it echoes far beyond this life, into realms we can only begin to comprehend. This soul school isn't just about learning for this lifetime. It's about preparing for what comes after, what some might call the afterlife, or even reincarnation. This perspective radically shifts how we approach life. If everything is designed for growth, then every moment, good or bad, has a hidden purpose. We're here to awaken, to evolve, to become more connected with our higher selves. And through this process, we gain insight into the true nature of reality and consciousness. The big question that remains is, how do we tap into this greater purpose in our daily lives and move closer to this ultimate truth? Take a moment and really think about it. What if everything you've believed about consciousness and the brain isn't the full story? Imagine for a second that your mind, your awareness, is connected to something much bigger than you ever realized. How would that change the way you live? What if the limitations you've always accepted about life, about what's possible, are only there because you've been seeing the world through a filter? It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What else is out there waiting for you to explore? But here's where things get even more interesting. If your mind can shape reality, what's really controlling the world around you? Is there some hidden force, something beyond what we can see that's pulling the strings? The truth might be closer than you think, and once you start to understand it, your entire reality could shift. Are you ready to see what lies beyond the surface?